If I were to describe the theater experience watching this film, it was wild, entertaining, and surprising. Who would have thought that amongst the Onam releases, RDX would be the movie to go for? Amongst the Onam releases, while everyone was expecting King of Kotha to pack the punch, in comes the dark horse RDX that people had very little expectations from. Owing to its meek marketing campaign, one assumed that this will pass off as a forgettable action entertainer, but oh boy, was that assessment totally wrong. I went in a packed theater not knowing what to expect, but my god did I get charged up within a few minutes of this film starting. The crowd was wild, they were ready, I was pumped, and there it began. The wild ride titled RDX Robert Donny Xavier, directed by Nahas Hidayat. The film presents three friends who get entangled in several fights, putting their martial arts and boxing training to good use whenever the need arises. This, of course, becomes a massive burden and headache for their families involved as they become vulnerable to impending attacks against rivals. During a particular scuffle in the church festival involving Donny and a gang from a neighboring town, one realizes that this brawl will carry on as egos have been bruised and the antagonist is of influence. As the need of the hour becomes that the three friends, Robert, Donny, and Xavier, have to unite and combat such threats, a string of battles ensue, forming the basic premise of this exhilarating and fun theatre experience that really has become the go-to film for Malayalam fans as well this Onam. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch RDX in theatres or not. The underwhelming aspects. Physical ability versus stunt. The only gripe that I have with certain moments in the film, especially in the combat sequences, is that I can see what the intention of the stunt director is, and in theory some of these set pieces seem amazing, but when it becomes about capturing them, sometimes the idea gets lost in translation. I'll give you an example. Anthony Varghese is of a stockier build than Shane and Neeraj. So rather than making him equipped as a martial artist expert, they present him as a boxing specialist. So something to be feared are his fists and the sheer power they possess. But when the creators try to place Anthony in sequences that require you to be agile and slightly light on your feet, those round kicks or flips don't translate really well for the character. And in the otherwise stylized and grounded action, those moments stick out like a sore thumb where you go too extravagant and physics defying for a character whose strengths are not that. It would have been lovely if the action directors played to the characters and their ability like they did so beautifully with Shane and Neeraj. In certain moments too, you can clearly tell that the punch or kick is not landing and is not masked well by the camera to appear as a real blow. These are just some of the technical aspects of the film which I think Talumala perfected, at least when it comes to the action sequences. The good. Sam CS. The music of the film leaves such a solid impact because it helps in elevating several of its combat sequences. See, this is a very simple story, and the art of telling a story that has no intention of being a social commentary but just a ruthless action spectacle and wild ride is that you have to at least make those moments for the audience worth their money, and Sam CS really left no crumbs in making it chest thumping, foot tapping, and in simpler words, exciting. Scene Mone, a brilliant rap song written by NEERAJ Madhav, is brilliantly placed in the screenplay, especially to announce the onslaught of attacks that are on their way when the three principal characters unite. You know what was crazy? Seeing songs like Neela Neelave and Hallabalu, one aspect of the visuals absolutely bewildered me. That Shane Nigam is such a graceful and solid dancer. I was notified later, of course, and I wasn't surprised that the actor actually started off as a dancer before he transitioned to acting. But it was an absolute treat to see him move to the music. He was pirouetting and chassing, and it was lovely to see him do these jazz moves. Sam CS really contributes to the film's quality, especially in two combat scenes that are placed in a ferry and the climax battle outside the hospital. He, however, required a great duo to assist him in creating this perfect synergy, and who better than the people I'm going to talk about now? ANIRBAV Magic. The duo of Anbumani and Arivumani have really created a solid impression as action directors, having absolutely killed it with projects like Sarpata Parambara, Doctor, KGF, and especially leaving their mark with Vikram. The duo absolutely are the stars of RDX because it is the conviction of their set pieces that really makes the film a bona fide, full-blown commercial theatre experience. A brawl that erupts in a cricket pitch sets the tone, but it is the sequences when the trio inadvertently enters the hood of the rival gang and a house and hospital ambush scene that absolutely cement their prowess as stunt directors. You know, some of you tell me in the comments of my obsession with long shots in action and how every movie cannot have the luxury of these long shots, but if you want to see a great integration of jump cuts, slow motion and camera angles which make you feel every movement and blow to the body, it is with this film. It never borders on being confusing. It, despite its incessant cuts and change of multiple points of view, actually makes sense, where you can always figure a start and end to the movement. The fact that the duo are going to contribute their skills to films like Leo, Salar and Project K has me terribly excited. The cast. The film boasts of solid performances and, most surprisingly, an emotional core that hits the nail right on the head. Anthony Varghese and his affinity towards his family translates beautifully. His affection for his brother Robert and a cute conversation between siblings about first love cements the unbreakable bond that they share. In moments when crisis strikes the family, Anthony breaking down at their helpless state is brilliantly performed by the actor. NEERAJ MADHAV as Xavier is styled the best. The karate master handling the academy after his father will stick with you for his stylized getup straight out of a video game with his iconic nunchucks. The actor looks like a dream and has some of the best elevation moments in the action dispersed in the film. If you ask me personally though, Shane Nigam is a standout. He dances effortlessly, has the physical ability and nimbleness with action, has a crazy conviction with intensity in his eyes, and in this moment, it really does look like a redemption arc of an actor marred with controversy in the Malayalam film industry, a lot having to do with his own choices, but delivering with his craft. I hear that Pranam Mohanlal and Tovino were offered this role before Shane, but he really does leave a lasting impression. He has a sensitivity and charm with Minnie played by Mahima Nambiar and an unhinged anger for those that touch his family. He has all the markings to be a commercial lead to be reckoned with. The brilliant part about RDX is that contrary to King of Kotha, you actually care about the interpersonal relationships of the main leads. The effort by the creators is to first establish an emotional resonance with the family, and this in turn makes you care about the stakes at hand and what could be lost. This was missing in Talumala as well. While superior than RDX from an action point of view, you have more of a personal connection with the characters of RDX, just because time is spent in establishing the bond of friendship and blood. The film was totally worth the theatre trip as the audience hooted and cheered at the several action sequences and points of combat. Sometimes, even if the simplest of stories are packaged with great technical detail, it really translates into a full paisa vasool experience.